What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another warm episode of the TradeMarke Podcast. We say that because it is about to get hot outside. Y'all are about to get busy, hopefully, and it's open season around here. So we wanted to hop on with our new friend, Marcus Piazzisi from Viirl. I almost said rival, which is funny because that's me, Viirl. And we got a lot of good things in store for you today. We're going to talk about Yelp, Google local service ads, Service Titan, probably all the good things, marketing, messaging, everything that you guys love to talk about. Before we get going, though, we got question of the day for Marcus. We want to know, what's the weirdest food you've ever eaten?
Oh my God. Look, I eat like a toddler, so I think anything in the water is weird. So any seafood, I've tried sushi, tried lobster. I can't do it. I know everyone's gonna, lose their mind, but I do not eat seafood. So I'd say weirdest food, sushi. I hate it. I can't do it. I stay far away from it.
That is definitely an interesting take for sure. But you're not alone. I'm sure there's a lot of anti-seafood folks out there, and it is kind of weird when you think about like a lobster or a crab. It's just
Totally. And I'm not a foodie. Like I'm a meat and potatoes guy. Like I just like a nice, good steak, a ribeye, and all the carbs on the side. So I'm very easy. I'm not sophisticated, and my palate is like my son and I fight over food all the time. We have the same diet.
I'm the same way. My wife calls me a sticky iPad kid because all I like is the same, chicken tenders, French fries,
Totally.
pizza.
Totally. Yeah. You and I would
Awesome.
get along great.
Yeah, I look forward to sharing some chicken tendies with you.
Yes. Heck yeah. Dinosaurs, dinosaur shapes.
I love it. All right. Well, let's go ahead and dig in.
Step into the TradeMarke, your go-to podcast for everything marketing in the trades. Hosted by award-winning industry marketing experts Sarah Ghirardo from Remarkable and Eric Thomas from Rival Digital. Together, we're here to unite the worlds of trades and marketing, bringing you insights, stories, and strategies from the heart of the industry. Whether you're a trade professional, a marketing expert, or somewhere in between, this is the place for you. Listen in as we're here for the big ideas, the game changers, and the everyday successes. Because at the TradeMarke, we're with the trades and for the trades.
How's it going?
All right, let's get started. So, Marcus, tell us. And every time I watch that, I'm just like hyped up.
Nice.
So Marcus,
I love it.
yeah,
I'm hyped up as well.
tell us about yourself. Tell us about your business. Give us a little breakdown as to how you help the home service industry. And let's go.
Yeah. So I'll give you kind of the cliff notes. I played baseball first. That was my first love. I played at University of Oregon. I didn't go pro. It didn't work out. It wasn't in the cards, but I got pretty far. So I was proud of that. And then after baseball was done, I literally took an entry-level job at a automotive marketing firm, actually out here in Scottsdale, and just kind of worked my way up there into the Facebook advertising division. And I helped them essentially when Facebook was very new and kind of fresh in the advertising space. They had really good targeting. I kind of built a whole product around automotive advertising on Facebook. And that's really where I got my first, I guess, taste of running a business inside of a business. So I was able to really own it as if I was like a general manager. I had a lot of flexibility. And so I really got into the analytics and started nerding out on really like how to effectively advertise and get really your money out of what you're putting, into the channel. And from there, I went to kind of a more traditional agency. They did really big websites, big creative. They had some really like government type work. And so my task there, what I was hired to do there was essentially build subscription revenue because their business wasn't as consistent. It was like, a big $1 million project and then crickets for a long time. So I had the idea of hyper local advertising at that time, and so I branded a program at that company. It was doing really well. It started to break even within 6 months. Yelp was a huge factor in that. I'd set up a partnership, and it really still wasn't focused on any like particular industry. It was just kind of retail, anything that really needed like a 10-mile radius of targeting. And then I got really the call up to the office one day with the owner, and he's like, "Hey, it's not going to work out. We don't think your idea is going to work." And I'm like, "Okay," kind of just broke even. I'm paying for myself. I'm paying for my team. And so, he felt bad about it. He offered me, a severance. And I said, "I really don't want the severance. I want my business." So we essentially, Viirl was formed a week later. I registered the LLC. I had no idea what I was doing. I maxed out all of my credit cards day one. It was roughly $27,000 that at that time was just a monster for me. And so I maxed it out and prayed, basically. And my clients paid me, and they enjoyed the work that we did. So we just kept rolling that. And even in early stages of Viirl, we really experimented with a lot of different industry segments. We had salons, we had legal, we had home services, of course. And over time, we really just started going and digging in on the home service space. They seemed to get a lot of value out of what we were doing. And of course, the higher ticket items lended well for advertising. So, if I sell a chair at a salon, that might be a couple $100 every time. But if I can sell an HVAC unit on Yelp, for example, that might be a $10,000 to $20,000 job. And you really started to get into the really the trenches of, okay, I can really produce results for these guys. And so that's a little bit about how we started. Today, Viirl will be 7 years old this September. We have really doubled year over year since we started, with exception to the last couple years because we're dealing with bigger numbers. So we are now at a $25 million a year run rate if we didn't sell anything else today. We have no outside backing. We have no fancy VCs. I know that's a huge thing in the home service space. Everyone's buying everything and everyone wants to be a partner of some group. Viirl has none of that. We're entirely self-funded from the beginning of those credit cards, literally. So I'm really grateful and just really happy about how we've built the company. And we're 30 employees strong as of now, and we're expanding into other industries with a huge focus on home services, but really just growing additional products, SEO, websites. We're getting into everything that the home service trade needs. So hope that gives you a little baseline about kind of how we started and where we've been.
Yeah. And I love it. And knowing that you come from e-commerce and knowing that the trades are needing to shift, because that's really where Google is shifting them, is to like an e-commerce kind of style in subscription services. What advice would you give a home service company about creating reoccurring revenue through a subscription service?
Yeah, so I would say it really depends on the level of each home service client. I see small home service guys contract with large agencies that really shouldn't be at their given juncture, right? Like it's high management fee. They're more built for enterprise, and they're a 2 to 4 truck operation. Not saying they don't need leads, but there's so many things that they can do before they even get to that point. Like I love Thumbtack as a channel. It's pay per lead. It's an emerging channel. It's cost effective in certain markets. I love Yelp for small businesses as well. Same kind of a position there, very cost effective. And I would say there's tools out there that exist in the plethora of all the options that you have on the internet that are very affordable. Like I'm talking $100, $200 a month, things like Vendasta, Yext, just to build SEO yourself before you take on this like massive marketing agency costs. because you need to really be ready to have that. And then I'd say the second piece is like, if you're going to go out and get a bunch of revenue and clients, make sure that your process is buttoned up internally, because we run into clients all the time that are looking to make the jump. Maybe they're, $5 million organization looking to go to 10, and we flood them with leads, and it really actually can damper the operation, because they're now, like everything's falling through the sieve, and they don't really know, like, oh my God, I'm getting all these leads and I'm falling all over myself. Which ones do I do? So I would say, like, really look yourself in the mirror as a home service business and say, what level am I at, truthfully? I'd say that you really need to evaluate that first before you start making decisions on like larger type enterprise grade solutions.
I think you have a great point. And I think that the majority of contractors might not know what they don't know about the
100%.
levels of agencies, right? So at certain revenue sizes, you are looking for different agencies. So can you explain more about that better than I can?
Yes. Yeah. So like, for example, like I mentioned the agency that I was at. It was like a very high-end creative shop. They produced work for like, the DMV or like, state stuff. It was very like, it had to be polished. They would obsess about every single one sheeter that they made and what are the margin. And it was just like, it's this OCD level of attention to detail. Whereas like, you don't need $100,000 website for a home service company, or even a $50,000 website for a home service company, right? Like you can go out and get like a really good website. There's a ton of agencies out there that have it. 5 to 10 grand will get you started at, and it will be a good enough page and site to where you will convert the leads that you need to. It will be a simple site, but simple is better early on anyway. You don't want to confuse the customer. Just like a really easy lead form. Make sure it's mobile optimized, of course. I can't believe I have to say that now, but we do. So there's these, I would say, again, when you're evaluating all the different agencies, like you really need to evaluate your business size first. Now, getting into the more complex stuff, like let's talk mid-tier businesses, I'd probably say, 5 to 10-ish million in the home service space. You have maybe 10 to 20 trucks. You might have multiple locations. The second you start adding all that complexity, you have to really start looking for agencies that have enterprise grade reporting. That is not just some Tableau integration and like kind of the easy Zapier stuff. It needs to be truly something that pulls data from all of the sources. So I'll give you an example: Yelp API, Leads API, or Angie Leads API. They're kind of developing one. Are they manually tracking? Does your agency track every single lead cost down to the cent? Is really what I would be looking for in that middle to enterprise tier. And there are agencies out there, like, you can really, it's easy to kind of fake that, if you will, with a fancy Excel sheet and a good creative team. You're like, oh, I put your data in from last month and you should give us more money because this arrow I made goes in a 45-degree direction and everything's great. And what Viirl does is the reporting that you get from us is the exact same reporting directly from the feed. So the reports that our account managers use are the same exact reports that you use, and it's updated on a like hourly basis depending on when the APIs refresh. So I think any agency that's really connected and integrated for that middle tier you're gonna start developing a partnership. It's not gonna be this, hey, this agency gets me leads and I hang up the phone and I call them in a month if I don't have leads. We're having conversations, daily, in some cases with our larger clients that are, they're spending thousands of dollars a day. So, one little thing can make a big difference. So I would look for really tight reporting that pulls directly from source.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, like, as you grow in revenue side, and yes, I think that like a small business can start off with a landing page, to be honest. I mean, e-commerce does it all the time, right? Like
Exactly.
it's like on there in TikTok, and I tell people that
They
and
have
people
entire
are very-
businesses based on like ClickFunnels. Like entire businesses are built on like build a landing
entire
page.
businesses. I'm like, why
Yeah.
are we building 300 pages now when like AI can build this in 5 seconds and like maybe like 5 minutes because you're playing with it for a little bit, but at the same
Totally.
time, like, why are we not? And I talk to Eric about this all the time and send him because he makes websites too. And I'm like, cool, but like, where does that look going forward for agencies with the AI evolution, like that's happening and has been happening for years, but like is now pushed towards our face, right? Like, what does that look like for agencies? And Eric and both of you can answer this.
Sure. Eric, I'll let you go first.
Yeah.
Sorry, I put you on the spot.
This is a fun one because Sarah's always busting my chops about this because I've been working very hard on a personal brand website for her for about 2 years now.
2 years, yeah.
A labor of love.
Yeah. It's kind of like Brian Griffin, like how he's been working on his book for like 20 years in Family Guy.
Nice.
But I think it's really just going to help with efficiency. Like I think that agencies that are using AI to help with their own internal processes and to become more efficient are going to do well because there's a lot of things that AI can replace, but there's a lot of things that AI can't replace. And finding those things like, okay, what can it replace internally, but what can it replace? And then mixing those two things together. I think that's where agencies need to be headed, especially for anything that we do, not just websites, but content. And I've even been seeing some different AI products out there now that even help with the mundane tasking of Google Ads. So just finding the things that it can replace, to make you more efficient. So that personally, I love where everything's heading with AI because it's allowing us to stop selling the drill and now we can focus on selling the whole to our clients. And it's like, hey, we used to spend 40 hours a week doing this, but now we can do it for 2 hours, and it used to cost us $25,000 a month, but now it only costs us $59 a month. So now you get more me time, like you get more time working on strategy and implementation and measuring and whatnot. So I think that's where it's headed a lot for agencies personally.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I literally I play with AI all the time, and it's so impressive and also so impressively bad at the same time. I asked it to find, I don't know, I just try to stump it. I'm like, a new Escalade came out. The 2024 is different than the 2025. I asked it to find a 2025 Escalade. It gave me the 2024 Escalade. And I go, that's not the 2025. And it goes, I'm sorry, I don't have that data. You're right, I'm wrong. And I'm like, if something can be so inefficient and so inaccurate at something so basic, I think you really need to proceed with caution with everything that you're doing in AI. And I see this all the time. And to your point, right, you can spin up an AI website in 5 seconds or whatever. Yeah. But do you trust it enough to post it live?
I don't know. Like
immediately, literally no look. If AI was so good, and look, I'm an AI fan. I'm gonna go for full circle with this. But if AI was so good, why wouldn't you just close your eyes, press the button, and say build a new website? It's clearly not yet. So what I do think AI is amazing at, and Eric alluded to this, is the efficiency piece. I think it's like putting an assembly line in your agency that could not have previously existed without it. So what I mean by that is I'll give you like a really crude example. Viirl tracks every single second of call that we generate for our clients. So, there's hours and hours and hours of data. And then that is transcribed on top of our Salesforce org and all encrypted. And our AI goes in and it can pull out sentiment on all of those calls, and it can identify poor salespeople on the calls that are costing you money. I think AI is beautiful for that, because what we previously did, and my entire ops team will tell you this because we thought it was this important, they were literally spot checking calls to make sure that salespeople were saying the right things so that our clients were converting the leads that we were sending them. So you talk about like an entire team of 6 people wasting how many hours per week. AI solves that entire equation in a matter of, it might take an hour for it to run through all that data, and it's way better, way more accurate, and it will spit out. Obviously there's always a degree of error, just like I mentioned, but if the degree of error is 5% plus or minus, you just did 95% of the work and snapped your fingers, and we have our ops team to go in and now make sure that it was right. So I'm on the same boat with a lot of caution with AI, because I hate the headlines of AI. Everyone thinks that AI, it's surface level knowledge. They read a headline in the news and they say AI is going to take over the world. Well, it can't. It's definitely not going to produce me a 2025 Escalade. So, how is it going to hack the government? I don't know. So that's kind of my view on AI. I'm optimistic, but very cautious.
Yeah. And I think everyone's kind of cautious about it, right? It's like, or they should be, right? It's as good as the input, you'll get the output. Now with AI websites, it's like pushing a button. You're right. That's a little bit harder because you're just like,
that's scary.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know. And then it's on the website and then it's like real. So I totally understand. I personally use it inside of the organization I work for content. So I am at 80%, 80-20 team. So 80% AI, 20% human interface. And it's about creating automations and efficiencies. So we're all using it for the same thing, is to create efficiencies, to analyze content, to create content. And I think that's the huge game changer for marketers just in general, because we have so many redundant tasks that we create in our head. And it's not like they actually have to be done. But for me, it's like, oh, well, I can do this in like 5 seconds with AI if I just put my brain bot into there, right? And so that's how I leverage it to really work in internal operations. And I think that, all of this conversation, even when we're talking about agencies, we're talking about internal operations. Because if they're not efficient, even in the trades, then they're not efficient for your marketing to work. And so I think like that's the point, and that's the real value that you could take from this conversation, like right now, and be like, oh, what is my marketer doing by, maybe sitting there writing an email that takes them days versus 5 seconds, put your thoughts in and let it go out. Right.
Totally.
And I think and then same with the CSRs. Well, they keep getting the same rejection over and over. What kind of training materials can I develop for them? The same for the, salespeople, the same for the technicians. It just keeps going and going and going throughout the entire customer journey. Right. And so I think if you're a contractor, my suggestion would be to look at your internal processes and say, what is taking too much of my time? And then ask how I can automate this and make it simpler and connected to my data so I can get real understanding of what's going on, right? Fast. Mm-hmm. I think that's the goal. Now, you get to see some cool data, and right now you're in Arizona, so it is about to get super hot, right?
Yes, it's getting toasty.
Yeah, it's getting toasty here in Northern California too. So I love the sun, and the sun's out, the fun's out. But in Northern California, we will get really hot, and then all of a sudden it'll get cold again, and then it'll get really hot. And so you'll have a ton of leads coming in, and then all of a sudden it'll just stop and they'll cancel because they're like, oh no, it's nice now. What would you suggest for contractors to do during the summer to help stay consistent in their call volume and stay ahead of this game to really help them get as much revenue as possible?
Yeah, I think we've been talking a lot about efficiency. I think I had a baseball coach that used to say, did you put the coal in the furnace? And basically meaning like, are you prepared to address all of the leads, and are you doing the things ahead of time? Because actually, if you're in the summer, you're actually too late.
Yeah.
You should be building your remarketing efforts. You should be building your outbound efforts literally when it's down season. That's actually when you should be working your hardest on marketing to flatten all those curves out. There's high tech stuff you can do. Like we can advertise if, we see a weather event, we can boost advertising in a specific geo. That's all like, my coach also said this, the tricks before the trade. I think that would be a trick that you can do to kind of like, if you weren't as prepared, you can kind of like, I guess, smooth out and pay for your sins that way. But I think it really comes from like, how are you nurturing your leads? Like, are you even organized? We get into CRMs all the time, especially Service Titan. People set them up all different ways. They have duplicate leads. They have wrong phone numbers. They don't mark the leads correctly. They don't have the sources correctly filled out. And so how can you make decisions, or how can you reach those people that might be in market for a new HVAC system that maybe called you, they got distracted, and now they're ready to engage you, but they submitted another lead to another agent or another competitor. Whereas if you were just in front of that, you would be the only option on that person's mind. So I would say, what are you doing with your current customer base? That typically flattens out a lot of these roller coaster type businesses where it's like, panic, give me a lot of leads. Oh my God, too much panic. You don't ever want to be in that situation. And I think the perception is too that that's just home services. That's just the way it goes. Like, I can't do anything about it. It's seasonal. What do you want me to do? I think if you talk to any of the bigger guys, any of the successful guys, they don't have that in their head. They really think of like, they're trying to sell HVAC in December. Like they're going for heat. Like they're like, I want maintenance plans. I have a plan of attack for this. Versus like, oh, it's December. I'll kind of kick it. I'm not going to get a ton of jobs. So I think that mentality is really important to switch.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think the smartest contractors that we work with right now, like they're not even thinking about summer. I mean, they're thinking about summer, but their season's ahead already. They're already thinking about next shoulder season. Like we were just fortunate enough to bring on a new client down in Florida, and on the surface, all his marketing was doing great, and everything was dialed in and doing great. And I was like, so why are you changing? Like if things are going so well? And he was like, I'm not changing for now. I'm changing for next winter. I'm planning for January. And I was like, dude, you need to you're the kind of contractor that needs to be speaking more like on stage at events. It's like he's making a change here in May because he's thinking about January next year when he's going to be slow again. So yeah, I totally agree. They got to be thinking ahead. If they're thinking about summer right now, then it's going to be a pretty tough summer for sure.
Well, I think a lot of people are thinking about summer because of the tariffs, and like we're in a pivot mode right now, right? Like the tariffs that could be coming, the refrigerant issues. If you're an HVAC, like there are actual like big opportunities in the industry at this moment that will make you think about summer differently. Like, can I get that refrigerant? Can I get the supplies that I need? Can I do this? But and I think that the marketers are going to have to pivot pretty big if they don't have the stuff to run the calls. And I'm learning about this as I go. I've been talking to contractors recently, and they're just like, it's Wild West right now. Well, what that means for marketing is that I could be overspending in my summer if I can't run those calls. And so that is what I would want people to think about today versus, you should plan ahead. Like this should be done. You're now into January. You're into forecasting for next year because you've got some good data. Each year looks a little bit different in the trade, sometimes wildly different that we've seen. But right now, like, is the best time to sell, because if you have the product, like, you need to sell it because you might not get it later. And that could be the opportunity that marketers need to say, hey, I need to pay attention to the summer a little bit more right now.
I think it's a great time to make friends with contractors, in neighboring service areas. So I'm not gonna say any names out loud, but I was talking to a client a couple of weeks ago, and she was saying that they couldn't get, certain particular type of train system that they were trying, that they had sold. And so they had a friend in a market about an hour away from them that was able to get it. And so they're like, well, we'll send you the money and you buy it and we'll come pick it up type of deal. So it's definitely time to make friends with people. I think it's always nice to be able to like reach across the aisle, if there's someone an hour away, to be like, hey, can you check with your Johnstone or your Ferguson or your whoever and see if you can get this for me. And then like you said, Sarah, just pivoting, like I think that's the biggest thing, like knowing when to pivot and just rolling with the punches.
Yeah. I mean, the power's in the pivot, right? And
that's a good one.
Yeah. I wrote that. Just so you know.
That was not
my
AI.
life is.
It was not AI.
It was not AI.
Tattooed on my chest. Like my life has been a series of pivots.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would add to it, and I 1,000% agree. I say never burn a bridge, especially in like. And I say don't burn a bridge even in competitive markets. Like Viirl itself partners to some degree with a lot of agencies that you would think that we don't, just on very particular products that they don't do or something that we don't do. Mm-hmm. And it's yielded really good clients for both of us, and we're both happy, and there's plenty of money to go around. So same, I think, thing applies to really the contractors. You never know who you need to count on, and the world's a crazy place. So I say, stay friends with everyone, just do good by everybody. And they might help you out now, but you might help them out in, a month or 2 months from now. And I think really it seems so simple to say, but like, treat others how you want to be treated. It's just so cliche, but it really does come around and work.
Yeah. Yeah. Most definitely. I think your connections are going to be huge right now. I think for marketers, it's just being aware and paying attention to the operations part of the business, and really just holding that kind of tight. If you are a marketer that had not planned for the summer, going after your existing customers, I mean, that's just a gold mine sitting right there. I play with this every day inside of Service Titan, and I help a lot of customers because they'll come to me and they'll be like, I don't know what I'm doing, or I want to do this. And I'm like, why are you thinking in such a complicated manner? Like, just make simple buckets first of your audience of who you want to talk to that you already have inside of your CRM, and then talk to them like on an automated approach, right? So that it's consistently flowing in. Because some people are like, well, I don't want to talk to my members during summer. And I'm like, that's small-minded. Like, we have to think a little bit bigger, because we're not reacting to the situation that we're in right now. We're planning for the future. And so we want all of those members to be ran, and we want them to have consistent, like, automated drips. So where maybe in March it started like with a large list, and now it's down to like 3 or 4 because of the automation that's going on. Because in the summer, those members will call you and take up your demand. And so you won't be able to reach the new customers that are calling in. So you just wasted spend. So there's like a strategy inside of like your existing customers and how you plan it out throughout the entire year and how you nurture them. Because people need to be nurtured, or they'll just go on Google and be like, AC repair near me. And you just lost a customer, right? And so I think you had the most absolute valid point of like, just nurture them, like nurture what you have. It's like any relationship. You have to grow together or you grow apart.
Totally. And I mean, there's so many ideas, especially in the summer, even if they don't need a new unit, right? Like, if I think about like how I'd want a business to engage me, they know what I have in my home. So they maybe know that my thermostat is not smart. And what does everyone want to do in the summer if you own a home? They want to save on their electric bill because it spikes. So you know what kills your electric bill? A thermostat that's not smart. with temperature sensors around the house. It doesn't know that you've left the home. Like, how many old thermostats that are stupid do you think are in homes right this second that your customers have? And not only that, you offer them a promotion on the Ecobee or the smart thermostat that you have. You go in and install it for like basically nothing. Guess what you get to do? You get to see and test their HVAC unit. You get to see, hey man, it looks like you're a little low on this. Hey, I hear some noise in this vent. You want us to vent clean? There's so many things when you get in the home that if you have like even not even a good rep, like an average rep can do this. And give them a really easy schematic on like the questions to ask. And I guarantee that 10% of all of those visits, especially if your techs are like, they don't have leads or whatnot, not so much in the summer, of course, like they're probably more demand, but if they are idle or they are waiting for units, find a way to make them busy. Get them in the home. If you're in the home, proximity is success. You're going to find something that you can work on, and you're going to make an offer, and they're going to either take it or leave it. But 10% of those people will convert to business.
Yeah.
Proximity is success. I like that.
That's
another tattoo.
That is not AI either.
That's a good one. That just reminded me, like, one of my all-time favorite campaigns that we've ever done was free smart thermostat with an AC tune-up. So homeowner pays, $79 for the tune-up, and if you hire them for it, they get a free thermostat. Because if someone needs a new thermostat, they probably have an old thermostat, and if they have an old thermostat, they probably have an old heating and air conditioning system. And so you get your foot in the door with the thermostat, and then you get proximity to take a look. And worst case scenario, you get a service contract out of it, and best case scenario, you get a good opportunity at the plate.
So, and they love you for it. They love their smart thermostat. Everyone that gets one loves it. Like it's just updating this obvious thing that you need. And they're like, I really like that HVAC company. They came here and they did a good job, and now my house is better. It cues them up for the next time they need you. You're playing the long game. You're playing the long game. Like, make them think about you every time they need something.
Yeah. And it's all mindset. As a marketer, sometimes we provide leads. That's our job. Make the phones ring. I can't tell you how many times someone said that to me. And sometimes as a technician or as a salesperson, they'll be like, that's a bad lead, like automatically, right? That's their mindset. And I think a lot of this that we've been talking about is really mindset. It's like changing your mindset on how your business is operating, changing your mindset on how to consistently get calls, changing your mindset on doing upsells and getting in the home versus like trying to go after that replacement every single time. It's like, what am I missing in the home? Like finding the opportunities, right? Instead of the problems or and even in technology, like we do this, we have like user stories, and it starts off with a problem statement. And I've changed that to an opportunity statement because it's like, what is the opportunity? And how, like, what are we seeing here? And I think if more people could think an opportunity versus problem, then like they would see the infinite game that marketing really is.
Totally. And I'd say this too. You might have to think as a business owner, you're the owner of your HVAC, plumbing, home service company. The notion that the lead is bad might be created by your incentive structure of your techs. So if all you are is you're just like 10% on every unit you sell, they're not going to be excited about selling $200 worth of stuff. So, and Viirl does this in our comp plant. Like Viirl eats the entire cost. We don't make any money the first month. Our sales guys get it because I want them to feel like every deal matters, and every product, whether it's $200 a month or $20,000 a month, is worth their time. And I totally sympathize with the tech that just drove 30 minutes to go make $40. Like, I mean, it doesn't hardly pays for the gas for the, like, so you as the owner might have to take the hit so that your team feels good and has a better attitude so that you can pick up the 5 or 10% lift on their attitude. No one's going to be like you and I, none of us on this call are going to be happy about making $40 driving 30 minutes. So if I understand that, like you really have to put yourselves in your tech shoes. What would make it more valuable for them? Well, let me just give them all the 200. Maybe that's better. And yeah, I eat it, but it's going to pay me dividends later. It's investment.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I agree. Well, Marcus, is there anything we haven't hit on yet that you were hoping to chat about? I think this has been a really good conversation.
Yeah, I think there's really two things, just kind of how we've that tie into what we've really been talking about. And I think the first thing you guys mentioned is pivot. And what I see so often in any marketing agency here is that pivoting is hard for them because it's more work. And so they do their best to manually pivot, but it's typically on like a 30-day cycle, or like it's after your monthly call and you go through the report, but all the money's been spent already. And so you basically just look at a report and you like have a sad face and you're like, oh, I hope we do better next month. Well, something that we do that I think is important is if you are tied into all those APIs and you can adjust ads on the fly, we save thousands of dollars by identifying a trend within the first week and pivoting channels. So Yelp, for example, isn't as big back east as it is out west. Mm-hmm. And so we try it there. Like if we have a client back east, like we flatten all the channels and we want to see, which channel does the best. But the second we identify that all the leads are not producing, and it's important to note that Viirl is directly integrated with their revenue as well within ServiceTitan. So we see literally that $100 lead did a $10,000 job. That's the only way that we can do this. And so if you can pivot in week one, maybe you've wasted, let's just say a $10,000 budget. Maybe you've wasted $2,500 in that week one, but now I can take the $7,500 with the learning and I can exponentially gain it because now I know the mix. And by the way, the mix changes every single week. It can change every single month. It could not change for years. Every channel is changing their algorithms on either a quarterly basis. Yelp does this all the time. Thumbtack does this all the time. Angie's List does this all the time. The fact that all of those variables are constantly changing at different times means that if you can't pivot, you are always behind. You will always be behind the curve. Mm-hmm. So I would look for agencies at a minimum that at least understand this concept. I'm not saying that you have to have an agency change your ads. Hey, you saw something in 3 days and now I expect an instant. I think that's unrealistic. You need to give it time. But if your agency isn't thinking about like, hey, what happens if this goes wrong? Then I think that you should look for another agency personally. And then I think the second piece of that tying in is find an agency that aligns with your values. And what I mean by that is dollar values. So Viirl rarely ever even mentions cost per click. We rarely mention impression share. We are only talking about with the clients revenue generated from leads. And we track it historically. So even if I send you a lead today, there's a sales cycle, people get distracted, of course. We're listening for that conversion 6 months out because what we're finding is like a lead that we generated 6 months ago converts and now it's like a $20,000 lead. Viirl goes back and adds that to the right month in revenue so you can get a true ROI that's actually updating live. So you might look at your ROAS in this month, it might be 6. You wait 60 days, the true actual ROI of that might be 12 because now you're accounting for the sales cycle and all of the residual gain from it. So I think those are really only the 2 points. Like if I have a home service agency, I want my agency to be like, oh, we're talking about dollars in. You're like, you care about dollars in. That's the only metric that matters to me. And all the other stuff can be useful for ad performance, but it doesn't pay your bills. It's not going to pay your payroll. 1 million impressions. Great. Can I exchange that at the bank? Can I pay my texts and impressions? No, you can't pay your texts and impressions. So we just eliminate that from the conversation entirely. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, I like that a lot. If someone wanted to get a hold of you and contact Viirl, how would they do that?
Yeah, just go to viirl.com. It's VIIRL.com. All of our products are on there. You can submit a lead form. You can add me on LinkedIn. It's just Marcus Piazzisi. It's pretty easy to find because I have an insanely hard last name with 3 I's and 2 Z's. So if you can Google me, find me on LinkedIn, connect. I'd love to chat with you guys. And my team, they're all literally parrots of this exact strategy. Anyone you talk to on my team will have this exact same feedback. They're all helpful for you. So if you just go to the website, fill out a lead form, we'd be happy to help.
I love it.
Awesome.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for being on today. And listeners, if you're listening, leave us a review, give us some feedback. We are always open. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you guys. It's been great.